Happy Tuesday to you. Boy, this is a weird doing this on a Tuesday night. Time's not right. The day's not right. Cast characters is right, though. That's the most important thing. And if you want to watch this on Wednesday, you're welcome to watch it on Wednesday. There's no rules like that, right? You don't have to be here. We appreciate the people that are here that make comments and whatnot. But I gotta know before we start talking Bengals football. What are you guys' thoughts about the other game in the AFC North? One for all the marbles? Question mark?
I hope they end up in a freaking tie. That's how I feel about it.
A 0-0 tie?
Nah, not a 0-0 tie. Just something stupid. You know, that's
16-16.
16-16 tie. That'd be like then they would go off of what division or whoever.
Pittsburgh will win the tiebreaker. They'll win it just because they got a better record. They already beat them head to head once. That's how it's going to shake out.
Okay, never mind. I don't want them to tie. I want the Ravens to win. Actually, I don't even want the Ravens. I don't want any of them to win. I just don't want them to win. Just the stadium's going to collapse and there's going to be no football.
Are they playing in Pittsburgh? Didn't that happen?
Yeah,
it was in a movie, right?
Yeah, it was in a movie, but yeah, I think they're playing. They're playing in Pittsburgh.
That was Batman: The Dark Knight. Yes, that's the movie that y'all referencing when they played that game in Pittsburgh, and then the stadium collapsed. Hines Ward was running with the football. I'm very familiar with that movie. Classic, actually.
It's actually the reason why I named my first French bulldog Bane. He was falling with a black mask. I named him Bane. Then I had a black brindle named Bruce Wayne, called him Batman, and I lost him in my divorce. Bane has since passed.
Shit.
Now I have Harley Quinn. I have Jack Oswalt, the Joker's real name, and we have Penelope Ivy, Poison Ivy. So we just went all Batman names. All right, Justin, who are you rooting for?
I ain't rooting for none of them, but I'll just tell you, I feel like that at the end of the day, the Steelers are going to win this game. Number one, a part of me just feels that I just don't want to see the Ravens three-peat in the AFC North. No team has not done it. They have been bad. They have been kind of mismanaged all year long. And it just feels like Lamar Jackson, he just ready for the season to be done and over with. And even if he does play, I don't really care. Pittsburgh has always naturally had the answer to slow him down, even if he was playing at his best. They don't play well when they're in Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh, I just know that even if they do win the AFC North, are they really going to get it farther than round one? I don't see it. I just think that they're going to be in for another one-and-done year, even though they got a home playoff game. So, but if I were to pick a side to who I think is going to win, I think it's probably going to be the Steelers to win in this weird Mike Tomlin-esque kind of way, to right the wrong from losing out last week, because I knew that they should have lost last week. They don't play in Cleveland well whatsoever. Baltimore, they looked like a machine with Tyler Huntley at quarterback, but that Green Bay team is also falling apart. But at the end of the day, it's two AFC North, big dogs, and it can get real dirty, real nasty, real fast. And I believe that at the end of the day, it's going to be one of those grinded out games, whether if it's DK Metcalf is there or not. TJ Watt don't have to necessarily be there. Pittsburgh just kind of knows how to win these games a little bit more than Baltimore this year. So that's where I'll tend to lean towards.
Man, I see your point there. I'm looking at it by a Bengals fan that lives in Pittsburgh. Two things. I want to see a little bit of this drama with Lamar Jackson play out a little bit more. I want another week or two of it, because I don't think it's quite done yet. So I kind of want to see them continue on because of that. And the crash out here at Pittsburgh, if they lose this game, the monumental proportions. So
that'd be hilarious.
Also kind of fun for me. So, but listen, that's not the game I'm really here to talk about. So we'll go ahead and get into the show. Well, welcome back once again. You are running through the jungle with us. I'm your host, Brandon Herrriott, with your host, Justin Lacey and Tim Lyons. How's it going, fellas?
What it do? What it do?
You know, Christmas season is now come and gone. We're about to get into the new year. Yeah, man, it's great to reflect on what has been a very underwhelming season for the Cincinnati Bengals. We kind of built up a lot of hype a little bit because every year that we have Joe Burrow, we're always thinking that we're vying for a championship. He gets hurt in week 2, and now all of a sudden the team looks lifeless. We had a little bit of rejuvenated hope when Joe Flacco got traded here, and now it's just we flatlined. Even when Joe Burrow came back, the spike of hope renewed. Everybody was talking about their path to the playoff victories. They can pull this come from behind. Like
Not everybody.
we had a
Not
chance.
everybody.
Yeah, I didn't fall for it, but I had it. We had to talk about it. Tim and I did on here at one point, but it was one of those things where look, we knew the season was long over before Joe Burrow came back. We just didn't think that they would be good enough to make up the deficit. Joe Burrow was still awesome, minus the Baltimore game, the second Baltimore game. But here we are, man. I'm just enjoying that. Hey, at least they're putting at least they're putting good tape out there. That's how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, here's how I'm feeling. I knew that they were going to win the last 3 or 4 games going out. Just inconsequential wins that do nothing but drop you out of the top 10 in the draft pick. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
that's the way I was. That's the way I was looking at it going into this whole last probably 5-6 games.
But you
But
know what though? I'll say this because I had a great time at the stadium this past Sunday because I was in attendance to the game. I got free tickets. One of my homies, he ended up having free tickets by way of a Secret Santa gift that he received. And then when we got to the stadium, next thing we know, I looked at the ticket and we saw that we were up in the very nosebleed seats. His hat ended up falling back off of the roof of the stadium, and I thought he lost it forever. Then I looked down and I happened to see that his hat was actually on just that front foyer where all the concession stands was on the third level. And he ran down there real quick and grabbed it and came back up. I was just laughing the whole entire time because I thought that number one, if you fall back, you're going to be dead and you're severely hurt. But I thought that if you look backwards from that stadium, you're going to be right down at the ground level where you enter the stadium. I didn't know it was going to be just a short fall. So that was funny. The weather was nice. At least we avoided the rain. It was like nice 65 to 70 degrees in the atmosphere in Cincinnati. The Bengals played well. We all just sat back and enjoyed good weather there. But then later on that night, the rain came and then it's been like 15, 20 degrees since.
yeah, it's cold here too. Definitely cold here too. Hey, before we get into the reactions over this Cardinals game, if you have not yet, please like, subscribe, rate, review, give us that thumbs up, get our first notifications. You can get us anywhere you get your podcast. Also, check us out if you're listening to the podcast and you want to be a part of the show. Normally Wednesday, 8:05 Eastern time. But with New Year's Eve tomorrow, we decided we're going to go a little bit early, get this out of the way. We don't want you to be stuck here instead of going to dinner tomorrow night. You know what I mean? So yeah, if you haven't, check us over there, and you can make comments, ask questions, whatever you need to do over there. But let's get into it, man. Justin, you were there. I'll go straight to you. What was your reaction of the Bengals win over the Cardinals? You touched on it a little bit. What was the overall feeling of the stadium and the fans, and what were your thoughts?
It was like if you ever attended a baseball game for your professional baseball team. Now I'm gonna stick to the Cincinnati Reds for an example. It's in a hot summer day in the middle of August. The Reds are almost basically out of the playoff picture because every other team is in front of them has better records, and they know that they have no shot. But you're just there, and they happen to play great baseball. They're on a warm mid-afternoon, and it's just you're not really focused on the game. You're cheering at the home runs, and then you're just high-fiving them with your buddies. But most importantly, you're talking about other things at the game. That's how it felt for me. I'm not in it to analyze anything other than just sit back and enjoy the football team play good football. That's all it will. That's all it really was for me. And so and also, too, the view of the seats that I had, I really couldn't hardly see anything, anyways. Which this is also kind of why I prefer to more just watch it at home because I can just see all the small, minute details. Um, I didn't get a chance to see who all rushed the pass, who all got sacks and whatnot. I had to look it up on the box score later on. But nonetheless, it was just good to see Joe Burrow and this offense still pick up where they left off, throwing for 300 yards, a couple of touchdowns. The offense just clicking on all cylinders like we know that they could have been all season long. It sucks that they finally doing that, getting to this point. But at the end of the day, man, I know that this is that dead cat bounce thing that every other fan base and media podcast talk about all the time, where it's like you don't have any stock in this, and I'm not putting no extra emotional equity into these last few games here, because at the end of the day, this team still has a lot of work that they need to do in the offseason, especially on defense. The coaches need to get better. Damn near everybody, if you're not Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, or Chase Brown at this point. And even then, Chase Brown can still get a little bit better. But I digress. I'm still happy with the performance of the team. I'm glad that they put up all those points on offense. I'm glad that they rested their starters, didn't feel like that they need to keep trotting out guys to prove a point. It was done. It was over with. And yeah, man, just glad that we was just able to have a good day at the ballpark, just like on a normal Saturday afternoon in the summer afternoon at a Reds outing or something.
Tim, what were your thoughts of the game? And if you want to kick us off with a game ball, feel free as part of your breakdown.
I was already thinking about that. You know, this game was what we were hoping the Bengals season was going to be like, honestly. But you know, it was week 17 versus the Cardinals. It was for nothing. Better team won. Joe Burrow had a good game. I know for our predictions, I believe I called Chase Brown to have 100 yards rushing and 50 yards receiving. I think that's what I said, in 2 touchdowns. Well, Chase Brown had 2 touchdowns, 101 yards rushing, and 40 yards receiving. My damn game ball is going to Chase Brown, because that's who I'm giving it to. He produced. He did well. I was a little pissed off when they pulled Joe Burrow in the fourth quarter, because as you guys know, I was playing for the fantasy football championship, and for Zach Taylor to pull Joe out of the fourth quarter, I was just like, come on, you could have made my life a little bit easier going into this Monday game. But other than that, great game. We saw some, pretty decent defense. Shamar Stewart got his first NFL sack.
Almost got his first NFL sack, then didn't get it, and then got it a little bit later.
Yeah, and Miles Murphy got a sack. It was a good football game, but like we were expecting. We were playing against the, what was it, 2-15, 3-14, 3 and whatever the hell they were, Cardinals, Jacoby Brissett. One thing that I was really worried about is because every time we played Jacoby Brissett, Justin brings up this stat of Jacoby Brissett just balls out against the Bengals. And that was in the back of my head the whole game. I was like, when is this bend but don't break on us? And the defense allows X, Y, and Z to happen. But we did see a little bit of breakdown in that fourth quarter when Trey McBride got his touchdown and broke some records or whatever the hell it was for tight end for him. But it was fourth quarter, who gives a shit time? Nobody cared. But it was a good game. I was happy that we won. I was happy that we got the W.
Yeah, you and I both picked Chase Brown to get the offensive game ball. I agree with you. I would give it to him, but you could make an argument with, Joe Burrow, 24 of 31, 305, 2 touchdowns, and didn't play the fourth quarter. I mean, that. I don't know. Who do you think, if you were given an MVP of the offense, who would it have been? Would it have been? I'm
still giving it to Chase Brown, because Chase Brown's out there, getting. I don't know how many carries he had, and I know he had like 4 or 5 receptions, but Chase Brown's out there getting beat up every single play. Every time he ran that ball, he was getting hit. So I'm giving the MVP to Chase Brown for this game. And I know, somebody might say, Joe Burrow probably deserved it because of 305 and 2 touchdowns, or Jamar Chase deserves it with his 2 touchdowns. I don't know, but for me, when you have running backs out there getting hit every run play, even on blocks, they're hitting. They're hitting defenders. They're blocking for Joe as well. Those guys are out there, and the offensive line is out there getting their ass whooped every single play. And in this case, Chase Brown's getting my MVP offensive ball for the week.
Do you agree with that, Justin? You give it to Chase Brown, or I know you had Jamar Chase, who had a decent game, but not his normal great game. But do you give it to him or do you give it to Joe?
Look, I say that you can make an argument for any of these guys, and neither one would have been the wrong answer. I predicted Jamar Chase will have a couple of tutties in this game. That's why I said that he was my offensive game ball recipient. He got his 2 touchdowns. I can easily tap him on the shoulder and hand him a game ball. I can easily do the same with Chase Brown, who had a great rushing day, and also catching swing passes out the backfield, or those check down passes out the backfield for Joe Burrow and company. You can also make a great argument for Joe Burrow. We already know that the whole offense as a whole, man, did a great job. But you know what? I'm going to give my game ball, and it's an honorable game ball to Cody Ford, catching that 21-yard out route receiving the woolly mammoth, as was Dan Hort called him on the radio on the live broadcast when that play was unfolding, just trucking guys, and should have scored. I was disappointed that they didn't give him the ball to score, and we were all in the stadium erupting, just cheering them on. Cody. He should have had his moment right then and there, and it was his birthday. Happy birthday, Cody Ford. So forget all of the obvious stuff that we already know about this ball club. For me, I'm going to always reminisce this game, not because I was just there, but that was the game that Cody Ford called.
It'll be the Cody Ford game for you. Yeah.
That's the Cody Ford game, man. So, yeah, let him get the game ball for once. Offensive linemen don't get game balls often, especially if you catch a pass. And, man, that route was smooth. Okay, this 345-pound man ended up doing an out route to the sideline, catching the pass cleanly at that. He ain't bobble it, and he just trucked a couple of guys, and I thought he was going to score, man. That was amazing.
The corner looked like he was swatting flies, not trying to tackle a football player. He wanted no part of that until other people got there, for sure.
No, it was so funny to me because somebody said, I believe it was Mo Egger on his radio show with Paul Dehner Jr., stated that it was like when the Bengals tried to tackle Darnell Washington in the second meeting against Pittsburgh, and then Darnell Washington just trucked one of the guys or just stiff-armed the living crap at him. I thought that felt just like that. Only thing I wish is that would have been against the Steelers that we did that. Would have been great.
Now,
get a little bit of revenge.
When you guys all started chanting, I think that was the moment they should have just done the refrigerator Perry, put him in the backfield.
Bro, just give him his moment, man. That's the thing. They should have gave him his moment.
Hand it off to him.
Right.
Well, they did put him in at fullback, and I thought they did. Oh, Cody Ford's going to get this handoff.
Nope.
And he was just blocking in there to block.
But you know what? I think that they tried to call the play. I feel like that they already anticipated that the Cardinals was going to chime in, just narrow in on him getting the ball or something like that. I was like, man, I don't care, bro. You're 5-10. Who gives a damn? The season's over. You're already going to win this game. Just give him his moment. So whatever, man. They still scored. They got a touchdown on the ensuing carry, but yeah, that's the guy that I'm going to go with.
All right. So before we analyze the defense a little bit more, Tim, you did mention a couple of sacks that we had. Jacoby Brissett wasn't able to have the kind of, he's averaging 290 yards passing. We kept him almost 80 yards under that. But before I get into that, I want you to know when you're giving game balls away, it can be no one pictured in this picture.
Please
don't.
No
Jordan Battle, no Geno Stone,
Carter, and DJ Turner even too.
And Turner.
It's at least DJ Turner has someone attempting to block him.
Bro, what was Battle doing too? What was Geno Stone? What the hell were these guys doing on this blown coverage?
This is, for those of you listening and not paying attention, there are 4 guys in a small window here. With Michael Wilson, the slot receiver for the Cardinals, has the ball at the 13, and 3 guys having cornered right there, against the sideline. And this ended up being a touchdown. if you haven't seen it, I suggest you go to our YouTube and check it out. I'll try to post it over our Instagram and some of our social media for you. I haven't posted over there for a while, so this is something I definitely want to put up there. How this ends up, this is to me the cosmic problem with the Bengals defense. Two safeties and one linebacker in this picture have a below average slot receiver in the league, dead to rights at the 13-yard line, and it's a touchdown.
You know what that play reminds me of? It reminds me of that year we were playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Le'Veon Bell got the ball, and he was going down the damn sideline, and then everybody thought, oh, he went out of bounds, and he just trotted right down the field for a touchdown.
Nah, that was William Jackson. That was William Jackson. I know exactly what you're talking about. He didn't even bother to push him out of bounds. He just stopped then just let him walk right past him, bro. That made me so mad.
Yeah, that's what that reminds me of right there. It reminds me of that right there.
Cheers, Aston. Thanks for joining us. You missed the part where we were rooting for demise for everybody else in the AFC North, not just the Steelers. So we can't figure out a way for both teams to lose. Tim, you want to read Austin's comment there?
No, it's gone. Oh, there it is. Austin Art in the chat. Thanks for chatting it up, buddy, and welcome to the show. Austin says Geno Stone was being weak as hell in that moment. Jordan Battle was literally in space. Like that was just, just bad play there. Yeah, it was awful. It was like it was as bad as that comment you just made. That's how bad Jordan Battle was covering that.
It was
everybody.
Jordan Battle just quit on the play.
He did. He just stopped playing.
He just stopped running to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that everybody's just pretty much fed up with Geno Stone in that moment. I even tweeted afterwards that, look, just go ahead and bench Geno Stone at halftime, please. Let's just get it over with.
And I don't understand what Al Golden sees in Geno Stone. Like there was reports out there saying that, Al Golden is, sold on Geno Stone. He sees something in him that nobody else sees. I'm sorry, Al. You might need to go get your eyes checked, buddy. You need
that's your golden domer, boy.
I know, but you can go and get your eyes examined. I believe it's once a year or whatever it is. Maybe you need some new glasses. I love you, man. I do. I love you, Al. But I think you need your eyes checked because Geno Stone couldn't tackle a 5-year-old playing midget football right now.
He ain't the one. So other than that catastrophic play, what was your overall take on the defense, Justin? How'd you think would you rate it? Would you rate them? Like if you were going to grade them, what would you grade them? How'd you think they played?
I'm going to try not to be hypercritical of this defense because, look, I get it. They played well. But we also saw the same thing last year when they had that 5-game win streak that the defense played a little bit better. But it was against piss-poor offenses, man. This offense had a chance to put up points on you. Jacoby Brissett didn't look too bad in the first quarter until the Bengals started scoring. And then the Cardinals was like, okay, yeah, we can't. This is over for you here. The defense did play well. They got pressure. They got after the quarterback. They forced Jacoby Brissett to just throw the ball out of the bounds. Like I knew Jacoby Brissett was not going to be the kind of quarterback that's going to throw it to the other defender and then you're going to get a lot of turnovers from him. He is very much in his element, kind of like the Tom Brady mode a little bit because he did come from New England as a backup, third stringer, and also backed up Jimmy Garoppolo because, again, he was the third stringer. He did come from that tree of quarterbacks, and then all of his quarterback journey, he sort of carried that with him that don't ever try to put the ball in harm's way. You can take the sack. You can throw an incomplete pass, but you don't really see him throw turnovers as much. And just take what the defense gives you. Problem is, though, the Bengals pass rush got after him a little bit more in this game. And I thought that my overall assessment of the defense is that we finally saw a little bit of a pass rush. The pass rush, the sacks, the pressure, they was coming in waves for once. The secondary, they did a good job. Again, as much as we want to be very critical, I'm still very critical of this defense, and I'm not giving them a pass just because of 2 good games against really kind of like stagnant offenses at this point. I'm giving them credit to where credit is due. They did a really good job on Trey McBride. Do not let that stat line fool you. Those numbers came at the back end of the damn fourth quarter when everybody rested their starters, and they still try to get some momentum. Trey Bryant didn't do nothing here, man. So, and I'm sorry, and I was at the game. I did not hear Marvin Harrison Jr.'s name get called once. I don't even think he ended up getting a reception. So,
he had 0 receptions for 0 yards with only 1 target.
Like, I didn't even hear his name get called, and I was at the game. But again, you miss a lot when you're at the game because you're talking with your buddies. I already kind of described the overview of the environment of the ballpark. We were all in it, but most of the time we were just enjoying the environment more so than the game itself. We were just happy to see that people win the game. But at the end of the day, man, I think the defense, they rose to the occasion. They did step up. They showed like what they should have shown as far as like the potential goes. This linebacker unit still stucks. We know that. We still got bad pieces, but I think overall, man, kind of like the Miami game without the turnovers, but they got pressure. Last week, they didn't get as much pressure or hardly any pressure at Quinn Ewers at all. This past Sunday, they did get pressure. They just didn't get the turnovers kind of coincide with it.
Who do you think gets the game ball?
If I'm going to give this a game ball, I'm going to actually tap Dax Hill on the shoulder and give it to him. He was all over the place. He really made some good defensive plays in the secondary as the outside boundary corner in this game. Now, I also know that you can kind of tap the shoulders of other guys on the D line because, like I said, like Tim had already mentioned, Shamar Stewart got his first sack. Miles Murphy also got in the backfield, got a sack. TJ Slayton got a sack. Yeah, you can kind of go with the game ball in many different places. But me, I'm going to just keep it simple and then just look at the guy that created the most havoc for people around. And that, for me, that's the secondary. And I'm going to call Dax Hill's name out and then give him his proper kudos and respect because he was a men amongst boys in the secondary on Sunday.
Tim actually picked as his prediction Dax Hill for the game.
I know, I did.
Do you agree with that assessment, Tim?
He played fairly well. He did. He played fairly well. He did what he needed to do. That defense overall, they kept Brissett to 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 4 sacks, I believe it was. The defense showed promise. Yeah, we're playing against the Cardinals. But there's still that weakness of they can't tackle and they can't guard the tight end. They cannot, to save their lives, guard the tight ends. And I don't understand why this is a Bengals kryptonite. Like if it was Superman, all you got to do is throw it to the tight end and Superman's down on his knees begging for you to put it away because it doesn't make any sense. And Brandon. Yeah, right.
Shoot.
But for me, I could agree. I agree with Justin with his defensive game ball. I do. But you know what? We've been seeing this player that we drafted a couple years ago that's been a project player, and now we're finally seeing him step up. He's finally stepping into those shoes of being a defensive end, an edge rusher. I'm giving my ball to Miles Murphy. I'm giving it to him. I do agree with you, Justin. But for my defensive game ball, I'm giving it to Miles Murphy. I
probably would give it to Miles Murphy too. One of the things that did stick out, Justin, you made a comment about the linebackers not being any good. I will say this. I think they did the right. I think Golden made the right call by seeing what he had in these youngsters and letting play out some of their learning curves here and whatnot too. Because I think now you're going to draft somebody at linebacker again in this draft, more than likely, or bring somebody else in. Owen Burks is not the answer. I don't think we got the answer on the team. Because you look over, Logan Wilson got benched at the Cowboys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he played on 2 pretty historical bad teams bad defenses this year and got benched on both of them. So
yeah, that's awful.
Yeah, I don't think he was the answer either. And unfortunate because he had a good career with us. He was a solid player, a captain, a good leader. It just wasn't working at the end.
Look, here's the thing. nobody expected Logan Wilson to fall off the face of the earth when it comes to his production like he did this year. Let's just call it what it is. When Al Golden was announced as a defensive coordinator, we already knew that Jermaine Pratt, that was over. All right, he showed that on film last week. But Logan Wilson, he was coming off of an injury, and he still had a little bit of flash in the pan with this play, and there was still some untapped potential. So we thought that we weren't going to see the best of him this year, or like his best was already going to be behind him. We thought that he was going to enter that Leighton Vander Esch kind of mold from those days with the Cowboys, where he was just a solid leader and you can kind of build around him. Draft two rookie linebackers, and then yet Logan leads the charge. But Logan ended up being bad, if not worse, than we ever have seen him play. And yeah, that's the thing, that it was so unanticipated to the point where it's like if Logan Wilson was showing a half of the production as he showed during his prime years from 2020 up until now, that should be your prime window, and you should be playing a little bit longer. That's the thing I don't get. Why the fall off with the production? Nobody saw that coming. And that's the thing I was saying about Jermaine Pratt, too. It ain't like that we've had like 10 to 13-year veterans at linebacker that we didn't anticipate falling off. There's obviously going to be some anticipation with that, but nobody saw that coming. And I think that really threw a monkey wrench in the linebackers' development plans, because now you had to throw those boys out there who ain't ready to start for real. Maybe Demetrius Knight, you could have been like, all right, give him a couple of games to get his feet wet. But Logan Wilson's producing. You got another guy, Oren Burks, if you start to shake out a little bit. But Logan Wilson was the start, like he was the centerpiece that Al Golden wanted to invest in. And it just didn't end up working out. And unfortunately, and this is one of the things that I also called out too. Bengals fans, social media, wherever you call it, they've been crapping on the Bengals organization, the front office, for not getting more in the trade to the Cowboys, man, when the reality was, man, you were never going to get higher than the 7th round pick. You were lucky to even get that. The Cowboys were just desperate to just throw a Band-Aid at the position because their defense was also on that historically bad trajectory too. And you were lucky to even get that. Nobody was ever going to give you a draft pick of some sorts. Logan Wilson also requested a trade that boded well in the Bengals' favor, and they leveraged that to their advantage. They got something in return from him. So these fans that were saying, well, you should have got at least a 4th or a 5th, bro, stop, man. And those are the fans that you got to start tuning out, man, because those are the same fans that still crying about Jesse Bates because he had a pick 6 this past Monday night's game. And they're saying, oh, we should have kept bro, move on. Like, it's I'm starting to tune out this fan base so much because at the end of the day, bro, like you gotta start to shed the dead weight of what used to be. We're in the now with this team. But I also agree with you guys, man. Like, I do think that going full circle, Myles Murphy is a great pick for a defensive game ball. Even though I'm going with Dax Hill because I do see the value of if you were to keep him, because there is a decision made financially on his contract. You picked up the 5th-year option. You can see what value he can bring in the secondary if he were to be still at an outside corner. But I also understand Myles Murphy too, as well too. Like, he's at this point, man, I would be okay with extending him.
Hey, listen, if my dad was still around to tell you the problem with Logan Wilson, he'd say, you know, I'm not saying Logan Wilson's slow. I'm saying he runs too long in the same spot. Austin Zart said, I highly believe the Bengals should probably draft 2 linebackers that are going to be good enough that they can develop really quickly. I get why you'd say that. I'd like them to see more of a veteran presence sign and a rookie brought in.
That's where I'm at.
I think that room needs a veteran presence in there. So
we definitely can't. We definitely can't bring in two rookies out of college with 2 second-year guys. That would be a disaster.
Who's the parent?
Who they gonna learn from? Who they gonna learn from? Yeah.
And listen, I've said this for the past couple off seasons. Bring somebody that likes violence a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Bring somebody that likes some violence. I'd like that. I think we need that. I think we need that, especially at linebacker. All right. That concludes us talking about the past. We will get into our upcoming matchup here with the Cleveland Browns right after we hear a couple words from our sponsors here. So please, if you have not, while you're on this break, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, and we will be right back. And you are back with Road Through the Jungle. Once again, Brandon Herrriott here with Justin Lacey and Tim Lyons. And we've gotten the Cardinals game behind us. Now we're going to talk about the Browns games. And we're going to start with an overall preview and keys to the game. Justin, I'm going to start it off with you, man. What do you think about going into this Cleveland Browns game? And, what do you think the keys are?
Another meaningless game. If you think that you're going to gain any kind of implication of morale from winning this game, you're sadly mistaken. Other than you get to sweep the Cleveland Browns, who in the Joe Burrow era has had kind of like been a thorn in this side. But over the last 4 matchups, the Bengals have had the better end of the stick here. The last time the Browns beat the Bengals was week 1 of the 2023 season, when Joe Burrow had that calf injury. It was in the rain. It was terrible weather, whatever. They won the game 24-3. Since then, the Bengals just rattled off 3 straight victories. Actually, I take that back. 4 straight victories against the Browns. And quite frankly, they can conclude this season with the season sweep here if they really wanted to try to win this game here. Obviously, you already know that the main key to the game is the Browns are going to try like crazy for Myles Garrett to get his sack record. And then when Zach Taylor announced that Joe Burrow is going to play in this game because he gives the best chance to win, obviously, okay, we know it's not Joe Flacco giving you the best chance, so you know it's Joe Burrow. That pretty much lines up that the recipe for Myles Garrett to get his sack and get the record is going to happen this Sunday. And I posted on Twitter, if you guys want to check that out, that if Myles is that it would make me feel better. Isn't that what important? Oh, okay. I like that.
Afton, our resident Steelers fan here, said it would make her feel better if we beat the Browns. Isn't that what's important?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I want to beat the Browns just because I want bragging rights at this point. But at the end of the day, the game is not going to count for anything. But at the end of the day, no one's going to matter in the moment what it's going to count for. They're going to look at how many games you won against each other. And Browns fans, they do this all the time. Like the year we went to the Super Bowl, they had that weird sweep because they beat us in the middle of the regular season. Then they beat us when we rested all our starters in that week 18. When we were going to the playoffs, we already had that all locked up. But they counted as, oh, we swept the Bengals. Well, I don't care. I want to beat the Browns just because I want to beat the Browns. And I don't care about draft position. Screw all that. Y'all can talk about all that stuff. I don't care. But you know that they're going to key in on Myles Garrett getting the sack record. So I posted this on Twitter. Myles Garrett, he wants to go get the sack record on Joe. That's fine. But number one, I want to put that score as far out of reach as possible for when they know that they ain't got a chance. And they want to celebrate a sack on Joe Burrow or Joe Flacco if Joe Burrow actually exits the game early like he did in the last 2 games. Then, okay, what are you celebrating for? You're getting your ass beat 38-3. And secondly, if it does happen earlier in the game and then Browns fans are going to erupt and go crazy or whatnot, I want Joe Burrow to throw for well over 500 plus yards on that Browns secondary. Boy, 5,000 would be nice. But whatever the passing yards record is, I believe Norman Van Brocklin still has that record at 557 or 551, something like that. If Joe Burrow can break that, that will make me feel great. Okay, that's a record that stood with test of time longer than that sack record that Michael Strahan initially set back in 2002 or 2003. TJ Watt already tied it a few years ago, and then Myles Garrett has a chance to either tie it or take the lead this upcoming Sunday. Regardless, that better be buried into the dirt and old as a footnote because I want Joe Burrow to go crazy off on this, either that or get 8 touchdowns. Set the season passing touchdown, throwing touchdown passes on his Browns. Do both, man. Go crazy. I don't care, man. It's week 18. We ain't got nothing to play for. But if they going to go crazy over that, I want to go crazy over this. But obviously, the keys to the game is just get out of here healthy. You don't need to risk anybody going out there trying to make the extra play when you know you're out of the playoffs. I want our main core guys, especially, and I'm even going to point at the offensive line too. You don't want no guys coming out of this game with season-ending injuries, like an Achilles tear or an ACL tear or stuff like that. Just stay healthy. I really don't care if you win or lose this game, really, at all. It's not going to make much difference to me.
You put that in
just
the universe.
Come out.
Don't put that out there.
No, I don't want to do that. But I definitely don't want to do that. I'm sorry. But it has to be said. Just come out of this game healthy. It is no point. Let the Browns try to see what they can evaluate with Shedeur Sanders. If they win, cool. Then for those that do care about draft positioning, that moves the Bengals up a little bit in the draft spots there. If the Bengals win, Cool. Then when you swipe the Browns, and if Myles Garrett get a sack record, I don't care. You lost the game. And so that's really my overall take and my overall preview of the game. There's not really any real analyzations behind it because it's a meaningless game. The Browns already played their hearts out when they upset Pittsburgh this past weekend. I think that they know that their season is done. All it is just Myles Garrett sack record, and he continue to evaluate Shedeur Sanders.
All right, Tim, what are your keys to the game here against the Browns?
Well, the offensive line needs to really, keep Joe, protect Joe, give him just enough time to throw that ball. Joe needs to be smart with but a lot of these Joe sacks have been lately, besides a couple here and there, have been Joe holding onto the ball too quickly.
For sure.
So Joe needs to be on his feet, getting ready to release that ball as quick as possible. But my biggest key to the game is running the damn football. Let's keep running the football. You know what? Let's keep Let's keep the Cleveland Browns guessing. We're not going to, there's no reason Joe should be dropping back in and passing the ball 30 to 40 times this game, unless Justin is absolutely 100% correct and Joe's going to throw for 560 yards and 8 touchdowns. That's the only reason why Joe should be flopping back that, should be dropping back that much. But other than that, protect Joe. Joe getting rid of the ball quickly and run the damn football. Stay in front of the sticks. If we can just time of possession, first downs, Zach Taylor, and the biggest, and believe it or not, the biggest key to the game, though, guys, is Zach Taylor calling in a good offense. Because we all know the Browns' defense ain't the Browns are the Browns. We know that they've won 4 freaking games, but they still have a good defense. They still have a good defense. So that's my keys to the game.
I agree with you. I think they do still have a good defense, and that's the reason why this is probably the first time in a while that I haven't sat here and talked about the defense is the key to the game. I think the offense needs to keep up the momentum they've had over the past couple of weeks, and really, prove to be efficient. Efficient is the word I'm looking for. It needs to be 4.5 yards a carry or more. It needs to keep them off balance. It needs to stay ahead of the sticks, and hit a big play here or there. I think the key to that is the offense. When I look at the defense, here's the other part. Like, I know the whole Joe Burrow starting. Listen, if Joe Burrow wants to start, Joe Burrow starts. End of story.
Right.
I don't care. But it would be hilarious to roll Joe Flacco out there against the Cleveland Browns and Shedeur Sanders and have him go out there late one of those 400-yard passing days that he had earlier in the season.
That would be awesome.
And put him to bed. It would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders had that good game against the Tennessee Titans at home where he threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Since that day.
And didn't they lose?
Since that, I have no idea. But since that, I think they won, actually. But
No,
since that
lost.
day, did they?
Yeah, they lost by 2 points.
But anyways.
Since that day, he hasn't thrown for 200 yards in a game.
Good.
His passer rating has been 30, 64, and 75. And he's thrown 2 touchdowns to 7 interceptions in those 3 games.
Hence the reason why he's a 5th-round pick.
So coming back down to earth a little bit after that big game. So that's the reason why what I've seen from them on tape, especially without Quinshon Judkins, does not scare me.
Yeah, I agree.
Do they still got Dylan Sampson out there running the ball too?
Dylan Sampson missed last week as well. I don't know if he'll be back this week or not.
Yeah.
And he's been a good pass catching threat, third down back for them, but they haven't utilized him a whole lot running the ball.
You know what? I want to highlight something, Tim, real quick, because I want to highlight something that you had already pointed out, and I should have brought this up because it is actually a real key to the game. Zach Taylor's play calling and Joe Burrow got to be in sync with it. because I'm really sick and tired of every time I watch the Bengals going against the Browns. Now, I get it. We won the last 4 games against them, but I'm really sick and tired of them being stymied and spinning the tires on offense. And it's because they let number 95 get in their heads a little bit of what to call. Look, I understand Myles Garrett is one of the greatest defensive players. He's going to go down as one of the greatest defensive players of all time. And he's obviously going to make it the Hall of Fame when his career is all said and done. But he ain't invincible, all right? I don't see the Bengals have this same kind of problem with TJ Watt. And I think TJ Watt and Myles Garrett are obviously in the same breath. I don't think that the Bengals have this problem if they go against a Max Crosby. I don't think that they have this problem when they go against a Nick Bosa. You guys see where I'm going with. It's always this Browns defensive front that always seems to get in their heads a little bit. And that's the thing. You got to make sure you commit to a certain play call, a game plan, and the play calling strategy to be able to get the ball out quick. Again, the keys to the game is not to go out there and win it. I'm sure the coaches are trying to make sure you can't play to win it, but make sure your calls are safe. Your calls are still allow Joe Burrow to be able to perform at his best, but Joe Burrow being at his best is being able to operate offense at a high level and high functioning level to where he's in sync, he's rhythm and passing with his weapons, and let's run the rock. Let's run the rock. Commit to the run. I know I said that I want to be petty and want Joe Burrow to throw for 600 yards or something like that. I get that, but at the end of the day, let's be serious here. I want the Bengals to be careful and be healthy. And then just go out there and then show them that you are not a bad team. Because what the last 2 weeks have showed me is that if things would have been right all season long, Joe Burrow be healthy, the defense kind of evolve and taking steps forward. We see that this Bengals team is probably the best team in the AFC North, as what we already predicted before the year started. But they got to go out there and show it. But I'm glad you pointed out the play calling, Tim, because I wanted to make another mention of that.
Afton asked, didn't Sampson gash the Steelers in the first quarter?
It was.
I don't know I don't know. We have different definitions of gash than Tim. He averaged 2.5 yards a carry. His long carry for the game was 6 yards.
Oh, wow, that's terrible.
That's not a gash.
Right, but Sampson did play in that game.
Yeah, he had 11 carries for 27 yards.
Yeah.
2.5 yards a carry, 6 yards was his long carry.
Did he have any catches out of the back? Did he have any receiving yards? I didn't watch the game, obviously. Did he have any receiving yards? I think that might be a factor.
He had 3 receptions for a total of 0 yards, his long being 1 yard.
Never mind.
He gashed no one. It was 13-6. No one got gashed. It was,
that is hilarious to me.
It was not fun. It was not fun to watch.
But Sampson did play in that game.
He did play in it, but he didn't gash anybody.
He didn't do nothing. That's basically what he's saying. Yeah.
So yeah, Judkins by far been their best running back until his ankle turned the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Harold Fannin Jr. He nice.
She said that she's still having overreaction Monday. Afton did. It's called the crash out.
Yeah, that's called sitting too close to G every
That's
Sunday.
That's it. You gotta watch out. He's rubbing off on you. He's rubbing off on you for sure. All right, let's get into some offensive game balls predictions here for this game. Tim, I'll throw it to you first. Who are you predicting to get this offensive game ball against the Cleveland Brownies?
You know what? I like what Justin said about what Joe Burrow needs to do. And that would be awesome. He went out there and threw for 560 yards and 8 touchdowns, but we know that's not going to happen. I think Joe's going to have a tough time.
It'll be 40 on Sunday.
Yeah, but it's still going to be. That's still chilly, dude. That's cold. That's cold football.
But it's not snow. It's not
probably a breeze going on too down in the stadium. It's going to be a little bit chilly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with. You know what? Because I've been doing pretty damn good with my prediction, with my offensive game balls, I think with it being so cold, with it being a little, cold and chilly, Chase Brown is offensive game ball. He's going to have another 100-yard game.
All right. Justin, who are you taking for offensive game ball prediction?
I'm actually going to go Mike Gesicki. I think Mike Gesicki is going to be the one guy that can be the equalizer in their secondary. Because I think for some weird reason, Jamar and T, they just do not play well against the Cleveland Browns secondary. Tyson Campbell, that trade that they made for Greg Newsome for Tyson Campbell and acquired him, they did the player-for-player swap. That actually worked out for the Browns. Tyson Campbell's actually been pretty solid. And then we know Denzel Ward is Denzel Ward. However, I will say this, though, about Denzel Ward. This has not been his Denzel Ward typical kind of season. I don't know how in the hell he made it over in the Pro Bowl over DJ Turner, who had a better season than him. He only had one pick. But what I saw last week when Aaron Rodgers tried to test Denzel Ward 3 straight times and got a goal line stand trying to throw to Marquez Valdez-Scantling and throw his way, that was the stupidest decision. Now, one time you can test Denzel Ward, but other than that, go find Pat Fryman for something. The tight ends could have been there, but they didn't use them. I will say Mike Gesicki is the perfect opportunity to get his 100 yards receiving in this game, plus maybe a touchdown or so, and actually be the security blanket that Joe Burrow can need and use to get out of Dodge. I do respect the Browns' run defense still a little bit here. And that's why I'm a little hesitant to go Chase Brown, because I also don't think that the Bengals will want to commit to the run in this game, even though they should as well. But I think that if you are going to have those outlet receiving passes, you know that they're going to key in on Jamar Chase and T. Higgins like crazy. Andre Yosevich really hasn't shown that he can step up over this Brown secondary in this defense yet so far. But I think that Mike Gesicki, he is the perfect chess piece that you can use if you want to get those key first downs. You saw week 1 a little bit there with the tight ends and receptions. I think you can kind of see that this time around. And we're in Cincinnati this time. Playing in Cleveland is always tougher for the Bengals or any team in the AFC North. But for Bengals playing here in this game down in Cincinnati, they tend to be more explosive in their own home turf. So, but I'm gonna be I'm gonna be a little bit unique here and go with Mike Gesicki.
You know what? I was teetering between Mike Gesicki and who I eventually go with here, T. Higgins. T. Higgins needs 221 yards to get 1,000. I don't think he's going to get that, but I think they're going to try and feed the beast here. I think they feel better about him a couple of weeks removed from the concussion problems, and I think they're going to look for him here to get some more shots instead of Ward. So I'm going to go T. Higgins. If he does get close to that 221 yards, then I screwed up because it's probably Joe Burrow.
Hey, that would be nice. Though. I will still say you got it right, though. If T. Higgins do get over 200 yards, I think you made the right call.
All right, we'll run it backwards here. Justin, I'll let you start defensive game ball prediction. Who you got?
Oh, man, this is going to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we found some pieces that we can lean on a little bit here moving forward. But for this week, for the Browns, y'all going to kill me. And please do if I end up being wrong, because I'm going to even shoot myself in the head if I end up wrong. But I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to give my game ball to Shamar Stewart. I think that he does double up in sacks this game. And I'm saying the reason I'm saying that because I've been very critical of Shamar Stewart, and I'm still going to be critical of him, even if he does have a good game, because I need to see more from him before I start to write him in as, all right, this is a piece that we can believe in. And I think that he actually does do well in this game. He did well last week. As Tim had to remind me in our group chat, he was one of the people that had a sack. I thought that he just had the almost tipped ball that could have been resulting in a fumble, but he showed up. He showed up as that disruptor that people were always talking about during the offseason and the draft prospect and all that stuff. But I do think that he actually does capitalize and get a couple of sacks. We're talking about Shedeur Sanders here being in evaluation mode. You already pointed out, Brandon, he's kind of crashed back to earth since those elite-looking numbers that he did against a Titans team that is woefully garbage. And they still lost that game. So
he likes to hold the ball too long as well.
He likes to think that he's Patrick Mahomes because he likes to spin around and make plays. I think that if Shamar Stewart can focus on finishing, because that's the big key for him, focus on finishing, you will get your opportunities. And I think he does get it with a couple of sacks in this game.
All right, Tim, who's your defensive game ball prediction?
That's what my biggest fear is we're talking about Shedeur Sanders here. we've seen many quarterbacks come into Cincinnati, and we're out there making them look like MVP quarterbacks, rookie of the years, all that stuff. And like, I know it's supposed to be game ball prediction here, but that's my fear, that the Cincinnati Bengals defense is going to make Shedeur look like he's should have been the first round draft pick instead of number 5 or 5th round. But in order for us to make sure that that does not happen, Justin has to be right on his defensive game ball. And I got to be right on my defensive game ball, because I'm going to pick Myles Murphy to sack him twice and force a fumble. That's all. It's just the problem is with Shedeur Sanders is he's got happy feet. He wants to roll out. He wants to hold on to the ball too damn long. We need to make sure when our defensive ends are getting out there, getting pressure on them, that they stick with him and they target him. They don't lose sight of him. They don't let him, do this. Oh, we missed the tackle. This one arm tackle bullshit. But in order for us to win this game, like I said, Justin and I's game ball predictions, defensive game ball predictions, have to be correct.
I like it. I think you will get some pressure. I don't know if we'll get the actual sacks or if maybe this is going to be one of those things where Shedeur throws the ball up for grabs a little bit. And that's what I'm thinking. I thought for a split second about taking Jordan Battle again. Can he get something?
That's what I was just thinking about.
A pick or whatever. And maybe get that taste out of his mouth from last week, because not his best game.
Right.
Even though the defense played well, I wasn't impressed with what he did. But instead, pass breakups obviously don't get you to the Pro Bowl. You got to start making some interceptions. Give me DJ Turner to get an interception. Take it back to the house for 6. I'm taking DJ Turner.
Nice.
I likes it.
Yeah. If he gets going, ain't nobody going to catch him. That's for sure.
True.
All right, score predictions. Tim?
Like I just said, my fear is the Cincinnati Bengals defense is going to make Shedeur Sanders look like he should have been number 1 draft pick. That's just my fear, because, it's just our luck as Cincinnati Bengals fans for this shit to happen. Let's be honest. Let's be real here, people. Let's be real. But that being said, I'm going to say the Bengals win. I'm going to say it's a Bengals win. I'm going to say it's going to be 31 and 26. I think it's going to be I just have this feeling that we're just going to let them score, when they want to. I'm not saying that they're going to put up 30 points, but I just have that feeling it's going to be a close game. It's going to be closer than what the spread is. I don't know what the spread is right now.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
I don't care.
I guess we'll discuss that on Friday or whenever Justin and I do our pick'em show. But
I didn't get to do that show yet.
Yeah, we haven't done it yet, but yeah. So yeah, Bengals 31. What did I say? 26? Yeah, 31-26.
All right, Justin, you agree, or are you going a different? Bengals are favored by 7.5.
I think the Bengals cover, and I think that the Bengals can put up 40 again. They should have had 40 last week. This past Sunday, they did 45. I also think that the Browns, they are still in evaluation mode. I'm going to go 41-22, the Bengals. I think that this is one of those games where we're going to look back and think that, you remember those 3 straight games where we basically averaged 40 a game to close out the season? I think that this is a game that everybody's going to circle about. We can still do this. We can do this. And against that defense and that amount. All right, bro. Calm down. I feel like that's what's going to happen in this game. This is the overreaction win to close out the season, that the Bengals are going to just close out with 3 straight crazy offensive performance. And I think the Bengals do ultimately rest Joe Burrow when they do hit the 40-point mark. And then the rest of the time, the scores for the Browns is just going against the Bengals backups and Joe Flacco, who might actually throw a touchdown out of pettiness, by the way. So with that being said, man, I do think that the Bengals do win again in this game. It won't surprise me, though, if the Browns win and if they decided to pull Joe Burrow early because they just fear that, look, this is going to get out of hand. I don't really feel like that's going to happen, but if it does happen, oh, well, it is what it is, man. It's been a bad season anyway, so who cares? But I will say 41-22 is my score prediction. I've never predicted a 40 burger before. Actually, I think I did last week, and we almost had it. So I thought I almost got it right. But anyways, 41-22 score prediction for me.
I actually like some of the matchups here for us on defense. The one question I have, Harold Fannin, he's been nursing a groin injury. Will they put him out there this game and try to feed him the ball a lot? I don't know that. I wouldn't if I was their coach. Just honest truth. You know what I mean? If somebody's nursing a soft tissue injury like that, there's no reason to push it when both teams that are playing are eliminated from the playoffs. This game has no effect on anything going around other than the draft. So DJ Turner against Jerry Jeudy, I like that matchup. I like that they don't have a bruising downhill running back right now. So I think we could play a very similar game than we saw last week. A pretty good defensive game and a good offensive game. So I'm going to take a similar score. I'm going to go 31-13 Bengals. That wraps it up.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, Tim? You got anything for us?
I am the league's champion this year on our fantasy football league. I was so happy. So let me, Justin's
Who
been
is
hearing
we,
me.
by the way?
So it's a bunch of us friends that are all playing on our fantasy football league. There's 12 of us. It's like people that I game with, people that I know, just those kind of. And they were like, "Oh, let's do a league," and I was like, "Okay, cool," and it's a money league. And the guy that our buddy Shua, he's been winning the fantasy football for the last 2 years, and he's talking all this shit at the beginning of the year. And I told my buddy Shane, I was like, hey, I'm gonna win this, bro. You ain't gonna outdo him. He's just locked in on football. I'm like, bro, I live football. Like we live football. I'm like, okay. And he ended up coming in last, which was hilarious. Just funny ass shit. But he came in last. I came in first. I won my league. I won my money, but other than that, it was fun. It was a lot of fun this year. It's been a couple years since I've done a fantasy football, because the last league I was in, I think I won three years in a row, and they're like, well, we don't want you to come back. Have a good day. All right, whatever. So, but here I am. I could come into a new league and I take the chip, man. I was so stoked last night because, like I was saying, I was going to say is on our NFL Pick'em show, I'm always throwing in players, fantasy football players, what's going on with my team and these certain players and whatever. Well, it was a 50-50 chance for me to win last night. It was 50-50 chance last night until Bijan Robinson took it to the house for 93-yard touchdown. Puka Nacua was, he was having a rough game, for the other team that I was playing against. But anyways, it was a great night of football, even though, the Bengals are shit right now. It's just been a good NFL season just to, have your fantasy football. And Brandon, I know you do like 2 or 3 different leagues as well.
3.
So yeah, it's just fun. It's something else fun to do, especially when your team is just playing shitty. But other than that, thank you guys. Thank you for being here as always. Come check Justin and I out. We'll either be Thursday or Friday. We don't know yet. We'll let everybody know. I'll share the post and let everybody know when we do our NFL Pick'em show. Justin and I, we've been having a lot of fun. We've been picking some good matchups, some teams that we're just like, I know for me, I given up on certain teams like the Buccaneers, the Eagles, the Carolina Panthers. Those teams have just been disappointing me all year long in this, this pick'em show. But if we were to bet straight up on our actual teams that we've picked, we'd have some good weeks. We'd have some good payouts. So, but hey, but Happy New Year's, everybody. Brandon, Happy New Year's to you and Justin. Love you guys. Looking forward to what's next.
All right, Justin, party shot.
Yeah, so Willie Anderson has once again been named a finalist among other 15 people for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Let's just hope and pray that this is the year that he gets in. The Hall of Fame snub is just been baffling me because we know how great of a player Willie Anderson was during his prime, during his tenure with the Cincinnati Bengals. We know that it has been like crazy hell getting certain Bengals elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and the battle is not going to stop. We have to keep fighting for our guys here. So, which is partly why that I'm going to always overhype some of our players, even who's currently on the team, who used to be on our team, like a Geno Atkins of the world, because we don't want those guys' careers to fade away and be forgotten. That's why it takes them so long to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And Willie Anderson is not the only person that's going through this fight. There's been guys before him, but it is really nice to see that Willie Anderson and also Ken Anderson among the senior finalists has made the finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I want to tip my cap to those guys and congratulations to them. But at the end of the day, we still got to be able to wait until the night of the Super Bowl for that to be officially announced that who's going to be enshrined in the Canton. But we hope it's Big Willie though, and hopefully Ken Anderson too. But Big Willie, go boy.
All right. As for me, I appreciate you guys rocking with us each and every week. Please share us. Tell a friend to tell a friend about us. Come here, get some football knowledge, and just cut it up with us. We appreciate everybody in the live chat, and we wish all of you a very happy New Year. Be back to normal next week on Wednesday, and it'll be 2026. Hard to believe, man. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
So, anyway, check us out next week as we are running through the jungle.